On the news, INEC reschedules dates for presidential and National Assembly polls to January 16, 2027. Opposition leaders demand immediate overhaul of 2027 electoral framework. U.S. Congressman Riley Moore calls for decisive American action to curb Christian genocide in Nigeria. In addition, we have the exchange rates and weather report. Ikekwa will be here for that. We now ask you to stand by for the details with Ehi.
Welcome to the news on the hour on Providence Television International. I am Ehi Eriki Ogiriaki. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has overhauled the schedule for the next general election, moving the date for the Presidential and National Assembly polls to January 16, 2027. Under the revised timetable, the governorship and state houses of assembly elections have also been rescheduled to take place on Saturday, February 6, 2027. The adjustment comes as a direct consequence of the repeal of the Electoral Act 2022 and the subsequent enactment of the Electoral Act 2026, which altered statutory timelines governing Nigerian elections. The commissions confirmed that the Osun State governorship election, which was initially slated for August 8, 2026, has been moved to Saturday, August 15, 2026. The window for official campaigning was also clearly defined, with presidential and National Assembly campaigns set to kick off on August 19, 2026, followed by governorship and state House of Assembly campaign to begin on September 9, 2026. The Commission reminded the public that the success of the 2027 polls is a shared responsibility, calling on all stakeholders to cooperate in ensuring peaceful, credible, and inclusive elections that reflect the sovereign will of Nigerians. In a World Press Conference on Thursday, prominent opposition figures joined forces to demand an immediate overhaul of the 2027 electoral framework, arguing that the action is a shared resolve to rescue Nigerian democracy from sliding into failure and collapse. Ogbebo Ikekwa tells us more.
Nigeria's leading opposition figures on Thursday launched a coordinated political offensive against President Bola Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress, rejecting the newly amended Electoral Act 2026, warning that it could spark a democratic crisis ahead of the 2027 general election. The coalition, which brings together some of the country's most prominent opposition voices, described the dispute over the electoral law as a critical test of Nigeria's electoral credibility. It called for urgent amendments to the law and urged citizens, civil society groups, and the international community to pay close attention to what it termed a growing threat to democratic rule. The position of the coalition was contained in a statement read by Ajuji Ahmed, the national chairman of the new Nigeria People's Party, and endorsed at the World Press Conference by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Senator David Mark, interim national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, the national secretary of the ADC, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, former Anambra State Governor, Mr. Peter Obi, former Rivers State Governor, Rotimi Amechi, former Cross River State Governor, Senator Liel Imoke, Senator Ireti Kinjibe, Senator Dino Milai, Secretary of the NNPP Board of Trustees, Buba Galadima, among others present. The opposition maintained that several provisions in the amended law, especially changes affecting electronic transmission of results, could weaken the transparency and credibility of future elections. Ogbebo Ikekwa.
Adamawa State Governor Ahmadu Fintiri on Friday defected to the All Progressive Congress. In a statewide broadcast, the governor disclosed that for the developmental interests of the people of Adamawa State, he had decamped with his entire cabinet and all People's Democratic Party officials. His defection follows similar recent defections by the governors of Taraba State, Agbo Kefas, Kano State Abbas Yusuf, and Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. Amnesty International and alleged victims have recounted cases of torture, rape, and prolonged detention without trial at the anti-kidnapping units of the Nigerian police force in Owerri, Imo State, popularly known as Tiger Base. Amnesty International disclosed that the units operating under the Imo State Police Command acted with impunity and outside established rules of engagement at the public presentation of an investigative report on the units in Enugu. Stakeholders demanded a thorough probe and prosecution of any officers found culpable. The report, titled Tiger Base of Atrocities, Human Rights Violations by Nigerian Anti-Kidnapping Units in Owerri, covered investigations conducted between May 2025 and February 2026. The report, presented by Amnesty International's country director, Issa Sanusi, emphasized that the unit was responsible for prolonged arbitrary detention, extortion, excessive bail demands, enforced disappearance, and the removal of children from their mothers without documentation. A member of the United States Congress, Representative Riley Moore, has alleged that Christians in Nigeria have borne the overwhelming brunt of violent attack for over 2 decades, calling for decisive American action and stronger bilateral conditions to address the crisis. Moore, while speaking on the escalating insecurity in Nigeria, noted that violence in the country affects people of all faiths, but stressed that Christians are mostly targeted. He emphasized that Christians are 5 times more likely to be killed than any other religious group, alleging that Fulani militant and terrorist groups frequently attack Christian communities, while acknowledging that the Nigerian government requires assistance to tackle security challenges. Moore stressed that President Bola Tinubu's administration must demonstrate a stronger will to defend Christians against violence. The police command in Cross River State has confirmed an attack on St. Mary's Catholic Church in Boki local government area on Thursday. The spokesman of the command, ASP Sunday Etokpa, disclosed that the attack set ablaze the sacristy, destroying all church records kept there. ASP Etokpa also stated that the priest's Lexus 350 Jeep and a Toyota Corolla parked within the church premises were also set ablaze by the arsonists. He noted that efforts are ongoing to ascertain those responsible for the criminal acts, stressing that once any suspect is identified, it will be made known to the public. 5 persons, including children, have been killed, while 3 others sustained severe injuries following an attack on the Nich Shi Rishi community in Basa local government area of Plateau State. The incident occurred on Thursday night and has thrown residents into panic. A youth leader and former Secretary General of the Irigwe Development Association, Danjuma Auta, confirmed the developments, noting that the injured victims have been rushed to a medical facility for treatment, even as he urged residents to remain calm and vigilant. The community urged security agencies to intensify efforts in safeguarding lives and property, and also ensuring to report any suspicious movements. Nigeria's prolonged power outages affecting homes and business across the country are primarily due to inadequate gas supply to thermal power plants, the Nigeria Independent System Operator announced on Friday. The system operator attributed the sustained drop in electricity generation to severe fuel constraints affecting the national grid. The outages began in early February following scheduled maintenance on key gas supply infrastructure by the Nigerian Seplat Energy, which temporarily disrupted gas deliveries to several thermal plants, triggering a nationwide decline in electricity generation. The situation has persisted due to ongoing constraint in gas supply, worsening the power shortfall. The shortfall implies that more than half of the gas needed to power thermal plants daily is unavailable, which leads to limited electricity dispatch nationwide. And now to sports updates with Emmanuel Igariva.
Super Eagles coach Eric Chelle says his demand for an increase in salary is aimed at improving his working conditions, dismissing claim that he is threatening to quit his role with the Nigeria Football Federation over the new terms. Chelle had earlier tabled new terms, including an increase in his monthly salary from $50,000 to $130,000, which will also cover his assistants. Chelle maintained that he remains committed to the Super Eagles, denying reports that he issued an ultimatum to the NFF. The Nigerian Football Federation has, however, stated that his 19 demands are subject to review and approval by his board. Manchester United's decision to sack Ruben Amorim as their manager could end up costing the Premier League giants almost €16 million. Amorim's turbulent 14-month reign came to an end on January the 5th following the Portuguese boss's public attack on United's hierarchy with its 5 coaches. United filing to the New York Stock Exchange on Thursday disclosed the possible payments to Amorim and his staff a day after the club confirmed they had made a profit of €32.6 million in their second quarter results to December 31st, 2025. Amorim won 25 of his 63 games in charge, finishing 15th in the Premier League in what was United's worst performance since being relegated from the top flight in the 1973-74 season. Edo State has emerged the winner of the second edition of the Niger Delta Games, which ended at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin on Thursday. For the final 4 relay races on the final day, the host state had already been assured of first place, having secured 52 gold, 34 silver, and 25 bronze medals. Delta State finished second with 39 gold, 29 silver, and 35 bronze. Defending champions Bayelsa finished third, 25 gold, 24 silver, and 26 bronze medals. Akwa Ibom, Abia, Cross River, Ondo Rivers, and Imo States finished 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th respectively. Chairman of the Edo State Sports Council, Amadi Nabulele, commended his team for the win and praised Governor Monday Okwewolo for backing the team to victory.
And now to the weather reports and exchange rates with Ugbebo Ikekwa.
Thank you, Ehi. Welcome to the weather forecast for Saturday, 28 February 2026. In Abuja, it will be mostly cloudy with a temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. In Lagos, there will be scattered thunderstorms with a temperature of 32 degrees. In Benin, it will be mostly cloudy with a temperature of 36 degrees Celsius. In Port Harcourt, it will be partly sunny with a temperature of 34 degrees. In Kaduna and Enugu, it will be mostly cloudy with temperatures of 34 degrees in Kaduna and 36 degrees in Enugu. In Sokoto, it will be partly sunny with a temperature of 34 degrees Celsius. And in Washington, it will be mostly cloudy with a temperature of 9 degrees Celsius. In London and Johannesburg, light rain is expected with temperatures of 13 degrees in London and 24 degrees in Johannesburg. In Rome, it will be mostly cloudy with a temperature of 17 degrees, and in Paris, it will be partly sunny with a temperature of 14 degrees Celsius. And to the exchange rates, $1 United States dollar is equivalent in naira is 1,360, €1 1,605, 1 British pound 1,831. The Canadian dollar presently stands at 995 naira and the Australian dollar 966 naira. I'm back to A.
Thank you, Ugbebo Ikekwa, for that report. And that's the news on the hour on Providence Television International. Thanks for staying tuned.